Imagine a ruler who cared more for the stars than for earthly power. This was Ulugh Beg. He was a sultan, a prince, and an emperor of the vast Timurid Empire in the 15th century. But his real kingdom was the cosmos itself. He lived in a time when the world was changing, a bridge between the ancient world and the Renaissance. While others fought for land and gold, Ulugh Beg looked up. He wanted to understand the universe, to map its secrets and to measure its vastness. His story isn't just about a king. It's about the human desire to know where we are in the grand scheme of things. It's a journey into the mind of a man who saw the heavens as his true home. Ulugh Beg was born in 1394 with a name that meant great ruler. He was the grandson of the mighty conqueror Timur, also known as Tamerlane. Timur had built a massive empire stretching across Central Asia. You might think that being the grandson of such a powerful warrior would mean a life of battles and conquest. And for a while, it did. Ulugh Beg was groomed for leadership from a young age, learning the arts of war and politics. But something else captured his imagination. A visit to the ruins of an ancient observatory as a young boy sparked a fire in him, a curiosity that would burn brighter than any ambition for military glory. He saw the stars not as omens, but as destinations for the mind. As a young man, Ulugh Beg was given governorship of a great city, Samarkand. Today it's in modern-day Uzbekistan. For him, this wasn't just a political post, it was an opportunity. His grandfather had made Samarkand a center of art and culture, and Ulugh Beg decided to turn it into the scientific capital of the world. He wasn't interested in expanding the empire's borders. He wanted to expand the borders of human knowledge. He invited the greatest minds of his time, mathematicians, astronomers, philosophers, and poets, to join him. He created a place where questions were more important than answers, and where the pursuit of knowledge was the highest calling. Ulugh Beg's rule was different. While other rulers built fortresses, he built schools. While they gathered armies, he gathered scholars. He transformed Samarkand into a beacon of learning that shone brightly across the Islamic world and beyond. He believed that education was the key to progress, and he invested his own wealth and power to make it accessible. He established madrasas, which were more than just religious schools. They were universities where science and mathematics were taught alongside theology. For Ulugh Beg, there was no conflict between faith and reason. They were two paths leading to the same truth, a deeper understanding of the Creator's magnificent universe. How do you measure the universe when you're stuck on a tiny planet? This was the question that drove Ulugh Beg. He knew that to truly understand the cosmos, you needed more than just your eyes. You needed tools, big tools. So he embarked on his most ambitious project, the construction of a massive observatory. This wasn't going to be a small tower with a telescope. This was a grand scientific instrument, built on a scale never seen before. The Ulugh Beg Observatory, built around 1428 on a hill overlooking Samarkand, was a testament to his cosmic vision. It was a declaration that the pursuit of knowledge was as important as any act of state. The observatory was an architectural and engineering marvel. Its centerpiece was a gigantic marble sextant called the Fakhri sextant. Imagine a curved track like a slice of a giant circle embedded deep into the ground. This arc, with a radius of about 40 meters, was one of the largest astronomical instruments of its time. It was used to measure the angle of the sun and stars above the horizon with incredible precision. The instrument was so large that only a part of it could fit inside the three-story building. The rest extended underground in a deep trench. This design allowed for unmatched accuracy, letting astronomers make measurements that were far more precise than any before them. Inside this temple of science, a team of brilliant minds worked day and night. Ulugh Beg was not a distant patron. He was the head astronomer, working alongside his colleagues. He gathered the best scientists he could find, people like Ghiyath al-Din Jamshid al-Kashi and Ali Kushji. Together, they formed a community dedicated to a single goal: to map the heavens with unprecedented accuracy. They were not just repeating the knowledge of the ancients. They were testing it, refining it, and pushing beyond it. They were conducting real observational science hundreds of years before Galileo would point his telescope to the sky. The work was slow and meticulous. Every day, the astronomers would use the giant sextant to measure the sun's position at noon. This allowed them to determine the exact length of the year. They calculated it to be 365 days, 6 hours, 10 minutes, and 8 seconds. Think about that. Their measurement was only about a minute longer than the value we use today, and they did it all without computers or modern telescopes. They were measuring time itself, using the grand clockwork of the solar system. The Samarkand Observatory was more than a building. It was a machine for understanding time and space. With their magnificent observatory, Ulugh Beg and his team set out to create a new map of the stars. The existing star catalogues, like the one made by the ancient Greek astronomer Ptolemy, were over 1,000 years old. The positions of the stars had shifted over the centuries due to a wobble in the Earth's axis, a phenomenon called precession. Ulugh Beg knew that for navigation, for astrology, and for a true understanding of the cosmos, a new, more accurate catalogue was needed. This became his life's work, a project that would take decades to complete and would become his most enduring legacy. The result of this monumental effort was the Bgag Sultani, or the Sultan's astronomical tables. This was not just a list of stars, it was a masterpiece of 15th century science. The catalogue documented the precise positions of 1,018 stars. For nearly all of them, the team in Samarkand re-observed and recalculated their locations rather than simply updating old data. This commitment to direct observation was revolutionary. The catalogue was so accurate that it remained the most reliable source for centuries, used by astronomers across Asia and eventually in Europe. It was a new atlas for the cosmos. But the Bgag Sultani was more than just a star chart. It was a complete handbook of mathematical astronomy. It contained complex trigonometric tables, with values calculated to an astonishing 8 decimal places of accuracy. Mathematics was the language they used to describe the universe, and Ulugh Beg was fluent. He and his team developed new methods for solving equations and calculating planetary movements. They created a scientific toolkit that was far ahead of its time. The book was a practical guide for predicting eclipses, determining the time for prayer, and understanding the elegant dance of the planets. Ulugh Beg's contributions went beyond just observation. He was a brilliant mathematician in his own right. He personally worked on the complex calculations needed for the star catalogue. His passion for precision drove the entire project. He wasn't content with good enough. He wanted to get as close to the truth as humanly possible. This scientific rigor, this demand for evidence and accuracy, is the hallmark of all great science. In an age of superstition, Ulugh Beg championed an approach to the natural world based on reason, measurement, and a willingness to challenge old ideas. He was a true scientist on a throne. Ulugh Beg began ruling Samarkand and Transoxiana in 1409 when his father, Shah Rukh, appointed him governor there at about age 16. He later became the overall Timurid ruler in 1447 after his father's death. Ulugh Beg's devotion to science and education made him a unique ruler, but it also made him enemies. His cousins and other powerful figures in the empire saw his spending on schools and observatories as a waste. They craved war and conquest, not celestial mechanics. Religious extremists were also suspicious of his scientific pursuits, viewing them as a challenge to faith. His embrace of reason and his focus on the material world made him a target. In 1449, this conflict came to a tragic end. Betrayed by his own son, Ulugh Beg was overthrown and assassinated. After his death, the forces of ignorance descended upon Samarkand. The great observatory was destroyed, its instruments smashed, and its community of scholars scattered. It seemed as if Ulugh Beg's cosmic dream had died with him. His scientific work was suppressed, and his name was nearly erased from the history of his own land. For a time, the light of reason he had ignited in Samarkand was extinguished. The ruins of his observatory were eventually buried by the sands of time, a silent monument to a golden age that was cut short. It was a dark chapter in the story of science, a reminder that progress is never guaranteed, but knowledge, once created, is hard to destroy completely. One of Ulugh Beg's loyal astronomers, Ali Kushji, managed to escape the chaos. He carried with him a precious copy of the Zigi Sultani. He traveled to Istanbul, the capital of the Ottoman Empire, where the star tables were received with awe. From there, the knowledge spread. The catalogue was translated and studied, eventually making its way to Europe in the 17th century, where it influenced the astronomers who were building the foundations of modern science. Though his observatory was gone, his data, his legacy, lived on. Ulugh Beg's work became a crucial link in the long chain of human inquiry into the cosmos. Today, Ulugh Beg is remembered not as a conqueror, but as the Stargazing Sultan. He is celebrated in Uzbekistan as a national hero, a symbol of enlightenment and cultural pride. The observatory site was rediscovered by archaeologists in the 20th century, and a museum now stands there to honor his achievements. Craters on the moon and asteroids are named after him, placing his name back among the stars he loved so much. His story is a powerful reminder that the quest for knowledge is one of the noblest human endeavors. He showed us that even in a world of conflict and turmoil, we can choose to look up and wonder.